Hi everyone, welcome to Midweek. Well, this week I'm all by myself because I just wanted to chat with you about small things like an election. I realize probably some of you really don't care about it. It's a little bit like me with the World Series. I had to ask my friend Jeff today, where are we at in the World Series? Because somehow I remember the first game, and now I discovered that we're on game 5. I have no idea how we got there. Some of you may actually feel that way about the election. That it's like, is there an election? What are we electing? Well, small things like, senators and some congressmen and some different measures that are happening. And yes, even a president. But I seriously doubt most of you are completely checked out on that one. You're really checked in. And you're hearing things like, this is the most important election that's ever occurred. My guess is they say that about every election. Probably when Abraham Lincoln was elected, my guess is they were thinking this is the most important election that has ever occurred. And the one after Nixon, when that whole thing went on, I'm sure they were saying, and then I do remember after Carter, and the world wasn't in a great place, and we were paying, remember, all kinds of high prices for gas and interest rates, 13% for your home. And we were thinking, this is the most important. Now, am I saying that this next one's not important? Oh, it is. It's always important because choices have consequences. But there's also sometimes this temptation to kind of get into our thinking that like, wow, if it doesn't go my way or God's way, we're in trouble. Nah. But let me give you just a few things. Because sometimes you're like, well, what do I do? How do I pray? And certainly we want to be praying, but I want to give you a few more things. Yes, pray. In fact, I said, let's vote once, pray 10 times. Let me add to that list. There's some things that I want to remind us. In contentious seasons, let's go back to the things that God says. Number 1, let's love our neighbor. When I drive home, I see certain signs out there. And I realized, I didn't know that's where that person was. And to be quite honest with you, maybe you don't do this. I think, I like that person's signs, or I don't like that signs. I've had even dark thoughts, like I hope wind comes and blows their signs down. But you know what? God always reminds me, that's your neighbor. It doesn't matter how they vote. I've not given you the option to love or not love them. Love them. In fact, let me take you to the second level. Love your enemies. I have people that I vehemently disagree with on this election. I have policies that I vehemently disagree with. I have people that I've been chatting with and I'm like, I can't understand how you think that way. And then I'm reminded, love your enemies. That's what Christ called me to do. Who's my enemy? Well, it's a person who opposes truth. It's a person who opposes integrity. It's a person who maybe even opposes me. But I don't get the privilege of treating them like an enemy. Love them. Honor people. We're not seeing this at a national level. It grieves me. It frustrates me. But it doesn't mean you and I get to do this. It means that I speak respectfully about people, even ones I disagree with. Even ones that I think that are acting maybe illegally or immorally. Honor people, meaning I don't lower myself and we don't lower ourselves to the language of the street. We respect people. Be patient with people. I don't find that easy. But the reality is, some people don't care about the election. That frustrates me. Some people don't vote and they're almost proud of it. And I have to Lord, be patient with that person. There was probably an era and a day in my life where there were people that were frustrated to no end with me. And they were patient. Be patient with people. Be a teacher. In this season, I think one of the best ways that you can be a teacher is learn to ask really good questions. What makes you think that way? What are the driving things to you that are important in this election? This measure, what are the implications of this measure? And to be a teacher means you have to do enough homework on the various measures, because I find them written in a way that are terribly misleading. So to be a good teacher, you have to study enough to be able to ask the right kind of questions. What are the implications of measure 117, 118? What happens if they pass? Did you know that? And the vast majority of people, I find, haven't done that work. So be a teacher in this season. Number 2, be humble. Or number 10, probably, be humble. There's nothing worse than a person who thinks that they know everything, or their view is the best, or and it may be aligned with God's heart, but be humble. By the way, we would do so well if we saw that humility at a national level. Stand firm. There are things that you believe in and you can't give up on them. There are things in all elections that are preferences, things that I desire, and then there are things that are biblically mandated. Stand firm on those things. You don't have to be belligerent, but don't give them up. And don't allow secondary things or preferential things to rise to the point of essential things. Stand firm on those things that are really clear from the Scripture's perspective. Live at peace. I'm going to tell you something that I believe. This is not the most important thing in terms of an election that's coming up. The most important thing in a person's life is whether or not they've trusted Christ. The most important thing for my neighbor who lives down the road who has signs that I don't really like, the most important thing in that person's life is not who they vote for. It's whether or not I have a relationship, get the opportunity to share the gospel, and they trust Christ. There's no election that will ever supersede that important relationship. Last, let's remember our witness, our testimony. At the end of the day, don't win an argument with a person. Stand firm, yes. Don't cave in. But don't belligerently beat a person into submission. And at the end of the day, say, yep, I got them to my view. And they just don't even want to be around you. Remember your witness. Remember the relationships. And if we do that, I actually think this election, in some ways, no matter how it turns out, we're going to win. And we're going to move to the other side, and we're still going to get the privilege of being salt and light in this community and in this country and the world. Hope to see you this weekend. Can't wait. We're back into the book of Ephesians. We had a great weekend for Priority One and all kinds of things. Remember, if you want to look at that documentary that we showed on Sunday, it is available on Rumble and on X. And call me if you want to engage in dialogue on that one. But most of all, see you this weekend. We love you. Have a great time praying for this election.